Hello everybody, welcome back, and a big thank you to the subscribers so far. Not many of us yet, but we'll get there, and thank you very much. So those that are new here, this is a new channel about my dream N-gauge railway in the loft. There are some previous videos to this on the subject in hand, which is the Peco turntable modifications that I'm trying to make it motorised and sort of semi-index itself. So that's where we're at. So since you last watched, all that has happened really is I've done some painting and some weathering. So this is the bridge. The light's not great in here, but so sort of a dirty wooden grimy effect on the top with a little bit of wood showing through, and then sort of a steel colour here with rust and what have you. So hopefully that's coming through all right. And then the well, I've tried to make it look like concrete, and I did this with a base colour of like a browny grey, and then lightened it with white paint and black, or darkened with dark paint in different areas. And I'm going to leave it there now, because until I get the roads connected, the tracks connected, and know where the trains would run on a regular basis, and then I'll do some more weathering on it, but sort of more grime and oil and grease, stuff like that. So yeah, that's where we're at. So in the last video, you'll know that the paddle that I'd made, I called it a paddle. Really, I should call it a striker, because it strikes the micro switches. It needs improving, basically. So what I've done is bought some aluminium strip off Amazon. There was 6 pieces, and I think it was about a tenner. And obviously I only need one to make the paddle, so the others will come in handy for other projects. So all I'm going to do is sort of copy the length of this and where the centre hole is, because I say centre hole because to make the turntable work properly, this striker needs to be twice as long. So it's basically a repeat. Yeah. So and that's because if I want to turn a train or an engine full 360 or 180 so that it can leave facing a different way, then I need to be able to hit the micro switch at both ends at 180 degrees to each other, so that the bridge will stop 180 degrees from where it started. Now I only really need that, I think, on the main line that's coming in from the station platform. Okay, so I've made this, which hopefully will do the job. I just need it to hit the switches at both ends so that I can turn a loco 180 degrees or 360 degrees, whichever. So we'll start putting it back together. Make sure it fits through there okay. Yeah. Okay. So with the camera, so I'll put the bridge and the wires through the hole. Now I've been talking about putting a hut on the side with a light in, and I even made the hut just needs a bit of paint around the top and some dirt on the roof. But there's actually a little guy in there as well at a control panel. But I just don't, I've offered it up and I just don't think, it's just not prototypical really. So I've decided, because at the end of the day I've gone to all this trouble of making the hut purely because I've got an extra spare 2 wires on the slip ring, and I just think I can just put those, just cable tie them up or something and keep them in case I want them for another time. But I just don't see it's prototypical. So I'm going to keep this little hut for somewhere else on the layout, in the yard or something, and go from there. So the rail wires and the shaft through there, and now it gets a bit fiddly. I might actually remove this piece of wood. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. So I need to put this through there. And then get the nut on the shaft. I can see already, for some reason, well, maybe not. Okay, this is going to take me a little bit of fiddling about, just adjusting the height of the nuts on the shaft and that to get it to line up with the switches. So I'll get that done and I'll come back to you. Okay guys, I've had a right rigmarole getting this back together and running smoothly all the way around. Getting that motor dead center again, even though I put marks, was really quite difficult. It took a bit of paint off my well and stuff, but I can deal with it after, that's not a problem. I've also removed all the micro switches from the board, and the reason for that is this striker is a slightly different width, and therefore it doesn't work the same as the other one, obviously. So I need to reposition the micro switches, but it's just like I did in, was it video 2 or video 3? I can't remember now. But all I'm going to do, so there's the striker in line with this road, and the bridge is in line with the striker. And I'm just going to push the switch so that it's kind of flat, if that makes sense, sort of 90 degrees to the striker, because you've only got this little area here for it to strike on, just there. Okay guys, well, that's been a mission, but I've got all of the micro switches back on that were on there before, and they're all working like they did before. So turn the switch number 3 and it will go to number 3. However, what I have decided to do is The problem is these switches really are only designed to work, turn it that way, to work in one direction. So the striker comes in, rides this up onto there, clicks a switch. They're not really designed to work this way. I have had it work in that way, but when you try and get the striker to hit this and stop and open the switch in exactly the same place from a different direction, the opposite direction, you can't really do it. I say can't. I'm sure you could if you had lots of adjustment. If these were on a little bracket or something where you could adjust it every which way, then yeah, you probably could. But I'm gluing these on, and therefore I've decided that I will only operate the turntable in a clockwise direction, which I don't think will cause too many issues for me. So if I turn that now to number 4, which I think is that one. So it should stop about here. Yep. So this is going to be the line in from the station. So the train will pull in, uncouple, and then drive through this track number 4 onto the turntable, and then it will either be turned, keep going in the same direction, so turned and put into one of the sheds, 3 sheds, or it could be turned and goes down track 5, which is like a refueling siding, if you like. It's where the coal bunker is going to be, the water tower, probably an ash pit, that sort of thing. So if it did that, it would have to then say reverse back out. In fact, it'd be going forward, so it would have reversed in, and then it will come out forward back onto the table clockwise to wherever it's going. The problem is, even if you can get the switches to operate in the opposite direction, anti-clockwise, they will operate, but to get the tracks to line up I've spent about 3 hours trying to do it, and these switches probably aren't the right thing for the job. I'm sure there's probably a better switch out there, maybe a plunger switch or something that maybe would be more accurate in both directions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on that. Do you know of a better switch for this job? So I've decided that it will always operate in a clockwise direction. So therefore, if I've got an engine come in on this line, let's say, and it wants to do 180 to leave in the opposite direction, or to turn the engine round, then clockwise direction until it hits number 4, the opposite end of the striker. But as I've said already, trying to get the striker, the 2 separate ends of the striker, to hit the same switch in exactly the same place coming from the opposite side of the switch, it's almost impossible. So what I think I'm going to have to do is that is always where it will stop on number 4. If I press the switch number 4, that is where it will stop. I think what I need to do is maybe add a separate switch over here, which works on the back of the striker, the other end of the striker, just here, which will stop the bridge in exactly the right position for the tracks to line up here with number 4. So that's what I think I'm going to have to do, because well, I'll show you now. If we put we'll put a pencil, a marker line there and a marker line there, so just there and there are in line with the rails. If I turn this around so that this end of the striker now hits this switch, you'll see the difference. As you can see, that's probably, it's a track width out, it's the width of the track out. So whereas this rail did line up with that black mark, now it's this rail. So, and the striker is a straight piece of aluminium. I've bought that, I've not cut that out of anything, or it's a straight piece of aluminium. And it's just because of how you position the switch to make it work in one direction. I think I'm going to have a go at that. Add another switch at the back of the striker here that stops the bridge in line with these two black marks, and it's going to have to be called the 180 switch or something, so that I know if I've got an engine pulled in onto here and I want to just turn it 180 degrees, I flick the 180 switch. I think that's going to be the simplest way for me to make this work. So the switch is going to go back there. I'll need one wire to go around to here and one wire to go round to here. So that one will be about there. And now I'm just going to glue the switch in with super glue, exactly as I've done it before, the way I've done it, shown you. Please don't think that this is a how-to series of videos, because it isn't. I should have said this right at the very beginning. This is me having a play. Okay, I think I'm about there. Maybe some very minor adjustments, but I'm about there. So if I get this going, so this end of the table is the end that the train would drive in onto. So I'm going to have to make a little mark of some sort, maybe something on the railings or something like that, so I know which end of the bridge is which when I'm operating it. But if we drive this round off the switches, and then I'll put in number 6, which is the switch that I've just put in to stop the tracks opposite. And it has just worked, so I hope it works again now. And there we go. So, minor adjustment there. And you can do that by bending the arms a little bit on the micro switches. But as you can see, that's stopped these two black lines. The tracks are roughly in line with that. If I go to number 4, which is that one, and just power it round. So this end should stop in line with those marks. Slightly off. Bend that arm a little bit. It's stopping about the same place every time, so it needs a little bit of fettling now, a little bit of very fine adjustment, just bending the arms a touch here and there to get it to work how I want it to work. But I think overall, as a little project, it's been quite good. I've learned a bit, and it's been a bit fiddly, but not a bad little project to do. And you know, would it have been as cheap as buying a kit? Probably not. But then would a kit have indexed in any way? Probably not. So it is what it is. I've paid a bit more to try and get some indexing going. The reality is I could take all of that indexing away and just turn the table and control it. And I'm sure with a bit of practice, I could get the roads, the tracks to line up. But I thought I'd have a little play, and that's what we've got. So I think I'm going to wrap this little mini series up on the turntable now. It works. It needs some refining, and I'm confident that I can make that work now, at least to get both ends of the bridge to line up with the tracks on line 4. The others I'm not too worried about. I'm happy if only one end of the bridge lines up on the others consistently, because an engine can go in and out of a shed backwards or forwards, it doesn't really matter. So, although I think they did used to reverse them in, didn't they? Because of the smoke. But not a bad little project. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have. This took me probably a couple of weeks of spare time to make it happen. So what I'm going to do in this video is, if anybody else fancies having a go at something like this, I'm going to put links to the parts that I bought on Amazon in the description below. None of it is affiliated to me. I've paid for everything. Amazon don't even know I exist, I shouldn't think, other than my credit card and payment details. So yeah, not too bad. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please hit the like button, please subscribe. I think coming up next on the channel is going to be making the first baseboard for this to go into, and that's going to kind of be from about here to about just behind the camera. I think it's 1500 long, 550 wide. So I'll see you next time. Cheers.